the Houston YMCA, it's the Echelon United States Singles Racquetball Championships, brought to you by the American Amateur Racquetball Association. We're at the Houston Downtown YMCA in Houston, Texas for the 1989 championships, the United States National Singles Racquetball Championships. Good evening, everyone. I'm Greg Lucas, along with Steve Strandemo, noted racquetball coach and racquetball expert. He'll be joining me alongside as we describe both the women's singles and the men's singles championships in the open division. And Steve, it's been yet another big year here in 1989 with some of the top names, and we're going to see some of the top names in these championships we're talking about. As an example, in the women's singles, which we'll be taking a look at first, Cindy Doyle will be going against Michelle Gilman. Cindy Doyle is an up-and-comer.
Cindy's an excellent player. She looked really good yesterday against Tony Bevlock in the semifinals. Very strong, very aggressive. Looks like she has a real want and desire to compete and win this championship this year.
Both of these competitors, we must add, know each other very well, as a matter of fact, because Michelle Gilman and Cindy are doubles partners, but they know each other, and yet at the same token, Cindy maybe doesn't know her well enough.
Well, Michelle, they've had a lot of battles in the past. I think they've played 5 or 6 times, and Michelle has won every one of those games. Last year, she was a little nervous, I think, playing in the finals against Tony Bevlock, but I think with that year of experience, could be a tremendous finals.
They played each other before. They're doubles partners. We'll see how it works out, certainly, when that match gets underway. That'll be coming up first. Following that, we're going to take a look at the men's singles in the Open Championship. We must mention that the Open, just one of many championships that were contested this week here in Houston. We're going to see the unseeded Tim Doyle, and if that name sounds familiar, yeah, he's the brother. And what kind of a man can we expect from Tim Doyle? Kind of play?
Well, Tim's a super player. He's a really strong player, strong serve. Unseeded is kind of different because there's so many good players down here that you may be unseeded, but still very, very established, and should present himself very well in the finals and probably will do very well.
It's going to be tough, though, because he's going against Andy Roberts. Not only did Roberts win this thing last year, but he is experienced. He knows what the finals are all about.
Well, he's been here in the past. He's won last year. He looked very strong last year. I've seen him play a little bit this week. He's just as strong, so he's going to be tough to contend with.
We'll also be taking a look at a little exhibition of some of the visually impaired players that will show us what they can do on the court as well. You stay with us. We'll get the action underway after we take this time out from the Houston YMCA.
I'd like to make a presentation.
At the Downtown YMCA in Houston, Texas, we're just about set to get this match underway. Referee Otto Dietrich going over some instructions with the competitors in this women's singles championship. Michelle Gilman, the number 2 seed in the tournament, already a member of the national team, taking on Cindy Doyle in the women's singles championship as we pick up the action.
Side out to Michelle.
Nice little rally.
Notice that the ball jumps back in the middle to Michelle, right where she wants it. She hits it a little bit too far to the right on the right wall. Comes back to Cindy, and she drives it back down that right wall.
Michelle Gilman had a tough semi. She had to defeat Kay Coolfield 15-13, 10-15, 11-1. So she had to go into that third game. Cindy Doyle had an easy, relatively easy win over Tony Bevlak, last year's champ, 15-9, 15-5. Side out again. Still 3 serving 0. Let's take a look at that last play.
That's a shot that a lot of people have started to come up and use very effectively. Cindy comes up and short hops the ball just as the ball passes the dotted line, hits it into the low zone for 2 bounces before Michelle can get it.
The ball hits some water and skid with a wet ball serve. First serve again.
Called that a skip, so it'll be second serve.
First serve. The score is 0, serving 3.
That skipped. So it's a point. 3-1.
One serving 3.
Or 1 serving 3 is the 1 is that of. Now she's closing it down a little bit. 2 serving 3.
2 serving 3.
Side out. We'll take a break and return.
Watch Michelle's on that backhand. She goes back to the back wall and sets up very nicely and drives the ball across court.
Second serve.
Three, 3.
Score is 3, serving 3.
Cindy had that lob serve pick off the side wall, and it set up Michelle far too easy for that, and she kind of sidewall pinch spotted that ball for a side out.
You have a contact lens problem, I think, right now. Cindy's got a contact lens problem, so she is going to leave the court and have that taken care of. Contact lens problem taken care of. We're about set to resume action. We're all even at 3. Gilman serving.
We're ready to resume play. Michelle Gilman serving. First game. Score is 3, serving 3.
4-3.
Scores 4, serving 3. Second serve. Skip. Point.
Point goes 5-3.
Here's 5.
Remember, it was 3-0, and Doyle came back to even it. Now Gilman on top 5-3. Short.
Second serve.
That was a nice kill in the corner. 6-3.
It's a nice Z serve by Michelle. She comes in, Z serve to the back left corner, looks over her left shoulder. Excellent. Excellent for people to emulate that kind of emotion. Protects the front of her body, still looks over her shoulder to see Cindy hit the ball.
Second serve.
That was called a screen serve. Couldn't see it, so it's second serve.
Side out.
That's a serve that came off the side wall, and Cindy really didn't have much room, and she kind of snuck it down the right wall, and it might have even been mishit, but it made that front wall, it bounced twice. Gave her a side out.
Skipped it, so the point makes it 4 serving 6.
Serving 6.
Five serving 6.
There's a little bit of action in the center of the court. Cindy had a down the line shot or a pinch. She chose the pinch on the right wall and executed it very nicely.
Bounces. Side out.
Six, 5. Point 7-5.
Score 7. Serving 5.
Nice rally. That killed it.
Great pinch in the front left corner. She reverse pinched that ball with Cindy on her left side and pinched it over towards the right wall for 2 bounces and a point.
8-5.
Both the players are getting a little loosened up right now. They're just kind of feeling each other out a little bit.
Second serve. Point.
9-5. If you just joined us, we're at the U.S. Open. We got a timeout here called by
Nice sidewall pinch.
Michelle.
She created a left up shot in the middle of the court. The ball jumped back into Michelle, and she pinched it left wall, front wall, away from Cindy.
If you've just joined us, this is the Echelon United States National Singles Racquetball Championships from Houston, Texas. Brought to you by the American Amateur Racquetball Association.
Right now, Michelle has edged out a little bit to a 3 or 4 point lead here. She's created some good left-up shots by us, some good serves. We'll try to keep the pressure on. She's coming in with that first good low drive serve.
That skipped before it hit the wall. It's 10-5. Yeah. Kind of blocked her out. They're going to replay that one.
The ball came by too quickly by the body. Couldn't see it. That ball was left up, and Cindy couldn't. Michelle wanted to go down the right wall, but it came back too much right by her body. Blocked Cindy's vision to her shot. Therefore, it was called a hinder.
Nice kill. That makes it 11-5.
Actually, Michelle right now has Cindy flicking and retrieving too many balls. She's not getting enough solid hits on the return, setting up Michelle. Michelle's starting to get comfortable in her offensive zone and putting some balls away.
Second serve here, but you know, this has to be a little psychological too, Steve. With Cindy having never beaten Michelle, but knowing her so well, I mean, they've practiced against each other. Now falling behind 11-5.
Actually, it looks like in the rally that Michelle's putting more pace on the ball. That was a nice shot by Cindy, nice reverse pinch. But if you compare the velocity of their shots, Michelle's putting more pace on. Cindy's playing a little tentative right now. She sets up in deep court, pinches a very nice ball using the left wall, front wall. Leaves the ball in front of Michelle on 2 bounces and sign out. Cindy needs to get back in a run here. Let's see what kind of a serve she decides to throw in.
Side out.
Couldn't dig it up, side out.
A little tentative in her movement right now. Michelle definitely looks more like the hitter in these rallies. Ball came back, and she tried to hit it into the back wall and get it back to the front, but just too tight into the back wall.
11-5. 12-5, point on that.
Good serve. It caught the right wall, kind of cracked out for an ace serve.
3 points all Gilman needs to win the first game. Now it's 2. It's 13-5.
Scores 13, serving 5.
Could be a real big week for
Second serve.
Michelle, graduating from high school and possibly winning this championship.
Side out.
Side out. Stays 13-5. 5 serving 13 with Doyle.
Scores 5, serving 13.
Hit that on the throw to the racket. Side out.
I'm sure that serve, she wants that ball to come along the right wall to make it a difficult return. Like some of these are popping out and giving Michelle too easy a setup.
Second serve.
Well, we're match for game point now. It's 14-5.
Score is 14, serving 5.
do it.
Great the way she slid her body into Cindy and created that down the right wall shot.
So the first one goes to Michelle Gilman, 15-5. Here's the
She pushed Cindy over to the left and drove it down the right wall for game point. Very nicely done.
winning game. Well, she took an early lead.
You see another
Here it is from another angle.
Angle. Now she kind of center court shot, but Cindy leaves it up, has to move way to the left side, down the right wall, 2 bounces, point. Game. Game to Michelle Gilman.
15-5, the score after game 1. We'll be back with game 2. The same two go at it again in just a moment.
Attack, and the other person who just can't do that.
Well, there's the score of our first game. Gilman over Doyle, 15-5. Some thoughts from Steve Strandemo looking back at the match strategically.
Well, I think Cindy came out a little too tentative and has let Michelle, they both kind of felt each other out in the beginning, and then as they got comfortable, Michelle started to hit out on the ball and has good pace and good accuracy, and Cindy came back seemingly to me very kind of tentative and kind of punching the ball, not very aggressively. Now I would guess that my suggestion would be to her is to come out attacking back in here, because Michelle's such a good hitter that you can't just lob serve and hope that she's going to miss shots, especially when she gets in the groove. And she feels very comfortable. Also, there's probably a psychological advantage here, too, in that if Michelle has beat her 5 or 6 times in a row, that's probably starting to take hold here again.
One thing I think that helps, I think really helps Michelle is she's almost 3 inches taller, and that reach is very important. Okay, we're just about set to start the second one, and serving first will be Cindy Doyle. Second game.
See if she comes in hard right off the bat here.
You had a statistic, I think, that was interesting in that first game.
Yeah, in the first game, it really worked to Cindy Doyle's disadvantage in that she skipped in. When Michelle was serving, she skipped in 8 balls in rallies that gave Michelle 8 points, which is more than half the game. Whereas when Michelle skipped in her 3 shots, it was when she was serving, so she only lost the serve, which is a pretty drastic statistic right there.
Made a big difference.
Means you're one player in the championship is giving the other player more than half the points, and not even earning them. That's way too many.
Well, we're trading side outs as we did really when we started the first game before a point was scored.
It's hard for the gals and guys that hit the ball hard to get that low drive serve in. There are a lot of them are coming in short. That's a nice aggressive return from Cindy. She's got to get back in this thing with more aggressive shots than tentative shots. Good Z serve, steps right up into that zone, kills it in the low zone down the left wall. She's back in the service box.
Still 0, serving 0. This is Cindy Doyle.
She's going to appeal the serve. She thought it was short.
Call the serve good. There's an appeal. I called the serve good.
Well,
All stands, but no appeal has been used.
They thought the serve. Referee called it good. She appealed that she thought it was short. As it comes over the line, it does look good right there. And the linesman upheld the referee's ruling, and it's a good serve, side out.
it's still 0, serving 0.
Much better start for Cindy right here. She looks like she's ready to attack. These two gals should be able to produce some super rallies. That steps right over there, very aggressive, drives it as Michelle's coming out of the box. Excellent return. That's a tough serve for Cindy right now because it's basically a pretty mishit serve, showing the shot down the right wall, got by Cindy.
That was put in a great spot, side out.
Serve came off the back wall. Cindy set up great with her backhand and drove it back down that wall. Good backhand technique. Both these gals have excellent forehand and backhand technique to watch on a lot of the replays. Got her off the board a little bit here. She served to get a left up shot, put the next one away. 1-0. She takes it off the back wall, drives it down the right wall, hits the right wall, cracks out, 2 bounces. She's ahead 1-0.
I believe that's the first time, it's the first time Doyle has actually been ahead.
Good serve, cracked off the right wall. Landed right behind the short line.
2-0.
Notice if you can see it hit the crack right there. It takes 2 bounces before Michelle can get a racket on it. Point, 2-0 for Cindy Doyle.
2-0.
3-0.
Getting some good pace on her serves right now. Creating another left up shot. Puts it away.
And 4-0.
Another good serve down that right wall. Cracks out of the back corner, can't get it. Taking an early commanding lead for Cindy Doyle. That's a great shot.
Side out.
A little higher than your normal when the ball drops down below your knee. She hit that ball up around her waist, shoulder area, and drove it down the right wall. Tremendous offensive shot. Right there, you see her make contact way up by her shoulder. Drove the ball down the right wall for a side out.
Side out. 4 serving 0 once more is Cindy Doyle, who lost the first game 15-5, leads this one.
You're mentioning about the reach of Michelle. That was great. It showed exactly that reach up in there where she stretched way up with her backhand and drove it back down the left wall.
That's a good shot, and it puts Michelle Gilman on the scoreboard here in the second game. 1 serving 4. Well, it was a point for Michelle, but we saw some nice acrobatics from Cindy.
She takes this ball and kills it flat out right in front. Good forehand, good technique. She drives that elbow in, then she gets extension at contact. That's what gets both Michelle and Cindy the tremendous power that they can generate.
Side out.
Side out, rule to skip.
See where Michelle and her serve's now trying to jam the ball back around her a little bit, back into Cindy's body, and actually creating some pretty nice left up shots for herself. Hinder ball. She was going to go to the back wall and try to get that ball, and it was left up off the back wall too. And she just got a little tangled up with Michelle right there. Couldn't see it right there, and the referee called hinder shot. Replay the point. Nice pinch off the side wall. Went to the back wall, set up very nicely, and pinched it using the right wall and then going into the front wall. There she goes. Watch Michelle, though. The key thing there also is watch Michelle, the defender, watch Cindy make contact. It's such an important fundamental that players watching the telecast could pick up on. The other player, defender, watching the offensive player make contact with the shot.
Steve, what do you know if there are any ISOs that you want? If there's anything on one of the players or something like that, would you want to have us do an isolation?
5 serving 2. And nice save, and really it's been 2 different games for Cindy Doyle. She is now up 6-2 as the replay of the last one. Last point she scored. Went and got it.
Nice pinch, and then she got it. It's a great shot for Cindy up and down that left wall.
Second serve.
Nice pinch shot right there off the left up shot.
Score 7, serving 2.
It's a nice side out right there. It's so difficult for the players. Mentioning that we're going to watch the serving motion of Cindy Doyle. She lets the ball drop so low, drives her elbow in, gets extension, then pulls herself out of the service box, and watching Michelle.
Oh, nice
It's a
shot.
tough backhand.
Side out, 7-2.
As the shot comes off the back wall, she chooses not to cut it off, drives it right down the left wall. There it is again. Good backhand. Watch her technique. She drives that shoulder through right down the wall.
Score 7, serving 2.
That's a point, 8-2.
Well, change in momentum here right now. It looks like this carries itself through. We could have a tremendous, exciting tiebreaker in this match.
Greg Lucas with racquetball expert Steve Strandaball as we are at the AARA Racquetball Championships, the U.S. Open. This is the Women's Open Division. You saw the score.
Good shot again. If you watch Cindy's serve, she gets down really low. Now watch her follow the ball out and watch. She sees Michelle make contact with the return. Tremendous. Then goes to the corner to hit her shot. Getting fired up. 9-2 lead.
That's right. She lost the first one. 5-15. Side out. 2 serving 9. This is Michelle Gilman. There's the last one.
There's a nice shot off the back wall. Michelle's ready, drives the ball cross court. Great angle. Cindy was in good position back in behind the dotted line, but the ball just was too well angled.
Michelle Gilman serving from Ontario, Oregon.
He holds the racket up a bit.
Wasn't ready. Wasn't ready. Had the racket up. Do that serve over. Michelle from Ontario, Oregon was the runner-up in this tournament a year ago. Oh, that almost looked easy. 3 serving 9.
Is another good low drive serve. She gets down really low, and you see Cindy step over into the left corner and drive the ball.
Just kind of shoved it over. Michelle got the point. 3 serving 9. Second serve, that was short.
Second serve.
Great shot.
Side out.
Good shot down that wall. Takes 2 bounces just before the back wall. Michelle couldn't get to it.
skip.
3 serving 9.
Still 3 serving 9. This is the 7th year that the U.S. National Championships have been held here at the Houston downtown YMCA. That's a skip. Side out, double fault.
Score is 9, serving 3.
He gets our first double fault.
Great serve.
And it's 10 serving 3.
Low drive down the right. I don't know if we can see it, but it just cracked off right after the solid second line. Cracked out for an ace serve.
That was a skip, so it's 11 serving 3. Ball hit the floor before it made contact with the back wall.
Hold it, stop. I'll take a bad bounce off the window up there.
Got to redo it, considering a bad bounce off the window. There's a window on the far end of the court. In fact, one of our cameras, the one you're looking at right now. And if it hits right on the edge, it can take a bad bounce. So they're going to replay it.
It was a nice shot. She had her pushed off to the right side just a little bit and took that backhand down the left wall.
12.
You notice how she slides Michelle to the right. Michelle's got to get out of the way, because if she blocks a straight shot to the front wall, it's an avoidable hinder. Point for Cindy Doyle.
That's skip. Boy, what a difference the 2 games have been. This is 13 serving 3.
This is so much of a momentum game. Nice shot from Michelle off the back wall. Just aimed that thing a little bit too low and caught the floor before it hit the front wall. But it is a tremendous momentum game. And once Cindy had it and gained it this game, she's maintained it all the way through, and looks like she's going to carry it into the tiebreaker. There's a shot for it right there. That probably could be a point hinder.
Yeah.
It's a point hinder because of the fact that Cindy had a very good offensive shot. Because of Michelle's positioning, she couldn't get to that shot right here. So therefore, it took away the offensive shot and was a point hinder.
So the point
giving
goes
her the
up.
point.
Yeah, it's 14-3 now, so this is a game point. Skipped it, and that's it. So it's 15-3, and we're all even. So after
There it is again. Michelle has some good shots. It's a good get right there. Good offensive setup. Cindy was in good position. She just drove it into the floor. Actually got very close to the right wall, and it was tough to pick off. So it was a tougher, once we saw it on the side wall, it was a tougher shot than it looked.
she had several skips. Well, stay with us, because coming up next will be the 11-point tiebreaker to determine the champion of the women's singles open division on HSE. We're at the U.S. Racquetball Singles Championships, the AARA. Bringing this to you from Houston, Texas, and we're all set for the tiebreaker. As you can see, Michelle Gilman winning the first game, Cindy Doyle the second. Some of the action from that first game.
That shows that the point hinder. And that's good for players to see that they can't take the offensive shot. They have a big responsibility. When a player hits the shot, they've got to get out of the way and give their opponent the rightful offensive shot. When that doesn't happen, it should turn into a point hinder. It's a tough call, and but it's a necessary call to keep the flow of the action going.
Full medal sport in the Pan American Games. That's right, racquetball. In fact, we'll be seeing a Pan American gold medalist in the men's championship, which will be coming up later on. Well, they start fresh. Otto explaining to the crowd exactly the situation. It's an 11-point tiebreaker. Timeouts can be called.
Great shot to start off by Michelle. She had Cindy pushed over on the right side, and she took it down the left wall very nicely. See what kind of a serve she starts this game off with.
Second serve, a little long. Got it.
That's a great shot for players to see that when you have your opponent push back in the back left corner, that the rightful shot is to hit the left wall first on a pinch shot. Your opponent's in the back left, pinch the left wall first, away from your opponent.
That's a skip, side out. 0 serving 1.
0 serving 1.
That was a great shot.
Side out. Or check that point. She was already serving 1-1.
Good serve. That was one of the good serves that she got in there. Pinched that thing so tight out of that right corner. Took many bounces before it got to Michelle. She also appealed that Michelle did not get the one previous to that and then pinched another one in for a winner. So either way, she was in command of that rally.
Remember, these two have been doubles partners for a while, but in singles play, Cindy Doyle in the black has never defeated Michelle Gillen in 4 or 5 tournament matches.
That's a good shot down the right wall.
Side out, we're still at 1-1.
That's a great back wall technique right there by Michelle. Ball dies behind Cindy for a side out. Coming off the back wall again. Boy, that's flat. That is a flat winner.
2-1.
Michelle's starting to show a little emotion here. This is a great replay right here. Look at that racket set up. Look at that elbow coming down through. That thing is flat on the front wall. Cross court kill.
Another nice
Michelle's
shot.
starting to show a little bit of emotion, get fired up. She can sense this, that if she can jump out to this lead and maybe get a 4 or 5 point spread on this. That's a great swing. She sets up back in here and just nails that thing. She wants more. Michelle had her shot in the middle too, just left it back up again.
Side out.
One thing to note on the low drive serves is that their target, here's a replay of Cindy's forehand. Good shot in front of Michelle. They have such a small target to hit on the front wall. That's a great ace.
Ooh.
They probably have a target to hit on the front wall in the low drive serves. It's only about 3 or 4 inches high and about 5 inches wide. So many of these serves are going to be short. And if they miss a little high, it's going to come off the back wall. Very tough to serve a good low drive serve. That's a great shot there. To get it into the court and then keep it from coming off the back wall.
3 now, serving 2 on the side out.
It does land right behind the solid line. Good crossover step by Michelle and hits it for a winner.
It's 4 serving 2. You know, that's the biggest change, I think, with Michelle from game 2. She is...
Sets up on this backhand, drives the ball. Look at that good straight arm follow through. Gets her whole body into the swing. Important here that you see these gals, they swing with their body first and their arm second, so therefore they should eliminate arm problems. A lot of racquetball players swing a lot with their arm first, body second. Put a big throb on that arm.
Second serve. Can't get to it. Side out with a 2-serving 4.
Sometimes it's not a matter of how well you hit it, but more or less where you hit it. Right now, it kind of came off of Cindy's racket, little forehand flick shot. Now you'll notice it coming up right here. Here's where she wins the rally right here. Flicks a little bit to the left. 2 bounces before Michelle can get it.
4.
Three serving 4.
Shows it again right there. Cindy could have cut the ball off as it went through the middle. Decided to let it come off the back wall. Pinched it left wall, front wall for a point in front of Michelle.
3, serving 4.
Well, nice effort.
She goes down for it, but that ball bounced twice in front of her.
4 serving 3. Again, this is the tiebreaker.
Good technique in there. Dies in front of Cindy. She goes for it. Can't quite get it.
Score is 4, serving 3.
It's a tough call right there because she starts along the left wall, steps out a little bit to try to give Cindy a little bit of visibility, but that wasn't seen until the ball came by Michelle's body, so therefore had to call it a screen.
Perfectly placed. It's 5 serving 3.
Right there, she comes up to short hop. It has Cindy on the left, tries it right down the right wall. Perfect kill. A lot of times it's not, again, how great you hit shots, but knowing where your opponent is. If you can hit it away from your opponent for 2 bounces, that's the key.
Another nice
Michelle's
shot.
starting to show a little bit of emotion, get fired up. She can sense this, that if she can jump out to this lead and maybe get a 4 or 5 point spread on this, that's a great swing. She sets up back in here and just nails that thing. She wants more. Michelle had her shot in the middle too, just left it back up again.
Side out.
One thing to note on the low drive serves is that their target, here's a replay of Cindy's forehand. Good shot in front of Michelle. They have such a small target to hit on the front wall. That's a great ace. They probably have a target to hit on the front wall in the low drive serves. It's only about 3 or 4 inches high and about 5 inches wide. So many of these serves are going to be short. And if they miss a little high, it's going to come off the back wall. Very tough to serve a good low drive serve. That's a great shot there. To get it into the court and then keep it from coming off the back wall.
3 now serving 2 on the side out.
It does land right behind the solid line. Good crossover step by Michelle and hits it for a winner.
It's 4 serving 2. You know, that's the biggest change, I think, with Michelle from game 2. She is...
Sets up on this backhand, drives the ball. Look at that good straight arm follow through. Gets her whole body into the swing. Important here that you see these gals, they swing with their body first and their arm second, so therefore they should eliminate arm problems. A lot of racquetball players swing a lot with their arm first, body second. Put a big throb on that arm.
Second serve. Can't get to it. Side out with a 2 serving 4.
Sometimes it's not a matter of how well you hit it, but more or less where you hit it. Right now, it kind of came off of Cindy's racket, little forehand flick shot. Now you notice it coming up right here. Here's where she wins the rally right here. Flicks a little bit to the left. 2 bounces before Michelle can get it.
4.
Three serving 4.
Shows it again right there. Cindy could have cut the ball off as it went through the middle. Decided to let it come off the back wall. Pinched it left wall, front wall for a point in front of Michelle.
3, serving 4.
Well, nice effort.
She goes down for it, but that ball bounced twice in front of her.
4 serving 3. Again, this is the tiebreaker.
Good technique in there. Dies in front of Cindy. She goes for it, can't quite get it.
Score is 4, serving 3.
It's a tough call right there because she starts along the left wall, steps out a little bit to try to give Cindy a little bit of visibility, but that wasn't seen until the ball came by Michelle's body, so therefore had to call it a screen.
Perfectly placed. It's 5 serving 3.
Right there, she comes up to short hop. It has Cindy on the left, tries it right down the right wall. Perfect kill. A lot of times it's not, again, how great you hit shots, but knowing where your opponent is. If you can hit it away from your opponent for 2 bounces, that's the key.
Nope. U.S. had a good 1988.
Where's it at, Barb?
And in fact, team positions are up for grabs in this tournament that we have here.
Great backhand right there. Right there, Cindy, a little tentative right there. That ball came right back up to her as a left up shot.
Okay, let's get ready to play again, ladies.
The short game to 11, 6-3. It's a pretty good spread. Cindy can't let her get a couple more. It just might be out of her reach.
These are young ladies, both 18 and 19 respectively. They've been playing for a while. Michelle Gilman has been playing for 8.5 years. She's just 18.
There's a nice shot.
And Doyle has been playing since she was 7. Never too young.
There's a shot right to their backhand off the back wall. Sets up, nails it. Good shot. Pinch that ball, left wall, front wall. There was a return. Now we'll see it again back in here. Michelle's in good position, and she's watching her. She comes in, sidewall pinches that thing. Wants points, needs to get back in there and get some good serves in.
Well, very disgusted now is Cindy.
Well, she's a little disappointed because she had created the left up shot right flat in the middle of the court, and all she needed to do is pinch it and keep it down in front, and couldn't do it.
Seven 3. You can hear Michelle psyching herself up on the court.
Here's a great shot down the right wall. Flat again. Bottom board on the front wall. Bounced many times before it got back into center court.
Well, 8-3, so she's 3 points away, and she's trying to keep herself psyched. You see her talking to herself.
This is when a good player can close out the game. They've got to lead. They're in a championship, and now it's time to get those final 3 points in. There's a shot for her. She had it too. Cindy hung in there tough, though. I mean, at a point in there where she sits there, ball came right back into center court. Nice left up shot, and she re-killed it down the left wall. It's exactly what you want to do. She does need a couple points in there. She's got to close this gap a little bit, maybe bring it into 8-5, 8-6.
There's the big difference. She is in this tiebreaker. Gilman's not missing, not skipping the ball.
When you get to the quality of play like this, is that when you serve a ball off the back wall like this and you take Michelle, who's got a great forehand, too easy a return. Too many are going to turn into side outs.
Not going to make it. And it's 9-3.
It's great that Michelle kept Cindy pushed on the left wall the whole time to create that whole open lane down the right shot. Didn't take a great shot down there. She stayed off the back wall and got her point.
Second serve.
That might be a hinder. No, they're going to go with the point.
It was close. Cindy kind of got caught back in behind her. So she kind of made her move up, and then the ball got by. If she just stayed back a little bit, then she could have probably come in behind Michelle and got to that ball.
Well, this is the tiebreaker and match point.
Match point championship.
Last year, Michelle Gilman was runner-up in this tournament, trying to go one stop better.
That's it. She got it. She got it.
So Michelle Gilman
played very strong match.
Gilman wins it by a count of 15-5, 3-15, and the tiebreaker 11-3. So not only did she graduate from high school this week, she wins a national championship.
See the replay of this. She comes in, kind of slides, gets caught, kind of gets jammed up. Now she returns it, left up shot. Now she takes it cross court, good backhand, gets fired up. She has a championship. Right there again, cross court, ball dies before it jumps back into Cindy's area, and championship Michelle Gilman.
Well,
tremendous
she keeps
effort.
her record intact. Cindy Doyle still looking for a win over her doubles teammate. We'll be back with some thoughts about this one, the presentations, words down on the court after we pause for these words.
And now, Luke St. Ange, the Executive Director of the American Amateur Racquetball Association, will make the medal presentation. The first medal goes to Cindy Doyle from Buffalo, New York, the second place runner-up in the U.S. National Singles Championship. Now Mr. St. Ange will make the gold medal presentation to Michelle Gilman from Ontario, Oregon, the U.S. National Singles Champion, the Women's Open Division. Mr. St. Ange is now presenting the sweatshirts to the ladies as emblematic of their membership on the U.S. national team.
Michelle, congratulations.
Thank you.
It must be a nice ring to be the women's national champion.
Finally.
And you got your high school diploma this week?
Monday.
A good week for you.
Yeah.
You started out very strong in the first game. Cindy came back pretty strong in the second game. What was your game plan going into the third game?
Into the third game, I knew that I had to keep her serve under control because her serving was what was beating me. I was getting to the serve, but I wasn't doing anything with it. And then I would get shots and I would leave them up or do something with it that I shouldn't have been. So in the third game, just basically was get her serve, make a good return, and then play the rally like I should have been the second game.
You did an excellent job. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Greg Lucas back upstairs. You know, earlier today, as we get set for the men's championship, I had a chance to chat with a couple of visually impaired people who also play racquetball. Let's listen in and see some of that action. Robert Hatcher is one of our visually impaired that we are seeing the exhibition with down on the court here between the matches here in the championship. And Robert, first of all, you've been quite an athlete before racquetball, a swimmer, swim coach at Mary Baldwin College now. First of all, what is your impairment? And then we'll talk a little bit about how you have to adapt for racquetball.
My impairment is that I have optic nerve atrophy, and I am extremely myopic, which means I'm extremely nearsighted. And I'm also colorblind, which makes a big difference for the sport of racquetball. When you're nearsighted, it means you see things real close, but you don't see things far away.
Now, what kind of adaptations, as we watch the match, are we seeing with the rules for the visually impaired?
For the visually impaired, we play with a multi-bounce rule, which means the ball can bounce as many times as the receiver wants, and the receiver may swing at it as many times as he wants. And it really helps the sport because it slows the ball down to where we can see it. If we try to play under the regular rules, the ball moves too fast and we can't track the ball. Playing with multi-bounce, it really helps the visually impaired athlete to compete in this sport.
Let me ask you a question, though, about degrees of visual impairment. Obviously, we saw in past years wheelchair exhibitions. Well, everyone is in a wheelchair, but with visual impairment, there are different degrees. That would mean some can see better than others. That would also lead one to believe that it may be difficult to have it totally fair in a particular match. What's your thought on that?
Well, at this time, there are people who have lesser vision than I do, but with the multi-bounce rule, it allows
Jeff May has a Bachelor of Science from Indiana University and presently is a residence hall director at Austin College, visually impaired, participating in our racquetball exhibition here. Jeff, what is your impairment right now?
My impairment is called optic atrophy. It's a permanent nerve damage that I've had since birth, and I have very little peripheral vision, and I'm also nearsighted along with that.
You have really the same diagnosis then as Robert Hatcher, the man you're going against in this exhibition. But you don't always go against people that have the same degree of impairment. So sometimes the question I ask to him, is it always fair?
Right. A lot of times within our organization we have different vision classes, and within those vision classes there's a wide variety of degrees of vision. Field vision, central vision. Some people have no central vision but very good peripheral vision, and vice versa too. So it's a really interesting experience. Very good.
Well, that's Jeff May and Robert Hatcher as they continue to play. We take a look at the exhibition of visually impaired players out on the court. Stay with us, because coming up next we'll be having the men's singles championship in the open division, all at the U.S. National Racquetball Singles Championships from Houston. At the Houston downtown YMCA in Houston, Texas, we're almost set for the men's singles of the U.S. Open Racquetball Championships, Open Division actually, the U.S. National Racquetball Singles Championships. Going against the defending champion will be Tim Doyle, unseeded. Tim out of Williamsville, New York, the brother of Cindy Doyle that we saw in the women's competition. Columbus State ranked 24th by the AARA, unseeded in this tournament. And Tim Doyle, 20 years old, goes against #1 seed Andy Roberts, the defending champion from Memphis, graduate of Memphis State this spring, gold medal in the Pan Am Games. Going to be a tough person to beat. He's going to be on the receiving end. There you see him. He won this championship last year after being runner-up for a couple of years. He finally got the big one.
Okay, let's play ball, fellas.
And we're just about set to resume action. Doyle serving. 9 serving 3.
That's a good shot.
Well,
It's going to be a field because the way the play looked.
well, this time the up-top man is overruled.
A lot of times that the ball jumps up a little bit, and when the ball jumps up, that gives a very good clue that the ball has hit the floor just before the front wall. And from this perspective, it looked like it, so it was very natural for Andy to appeal it. He went to both linesmen. They both thought it skipped, so therefore it's side out. Andy's serving 3, serving 9. That's about as perfect a ball as can be humanly hit, I think. That thing was rolling out of the front corner. He sets up on this. It's good time to set up. Has a great forehand. Pinches right wall, front wall. That ball was dead flat in front of Andy.
Serving 3.
9-3. confirmed. All three. There's our first unanimous agreement on the serve.
Shows that that ball is down. Actually, what he appealed was the shot before that, which was the serve. That's a good cross-court angle. Ball's hit very low. Takes its first bounce by the solid second line, 20 feet, and died in the backcourt.
10 serving 3 for Doyle.
Hold it, skip ball. Side out.
Side out. One thing, of course, we've seen more questions of calls in this match than we did with the women for a very simple reason. The velocity the ball is being hit makes it a real concentration test for the referee.
There's a nice shot.
4 serving 10.
Here's a shot, good technique off the back wall, pinches it tight again.
Scores 4.
Leaves the ball in front of
10.
Tim. A nice, easy lob motion, high lob Z to the right. That's a good shot down the wall, but he started that rally off and he started to push that backhand down the left wall and made Tim move from side to side.
5 serving 10. First game.
See if he sticks with that high lob Z to the right corner. Trying to force Tim up to the ceiling. Miss.
6-10.
He's going for that shot, shooting that high lob Z. And he's up just barely getting it, pushing it back into the middle. Now he has another shot that he pushes down the right. Good placement. Good placement.
10. Carefully because you were right there.
Well, if you see that right there, Tim didn't really think that he had a shot, so he held up, and Andy thought he had a good shot. So, difference of opinion. He's going to play it again as a hinder.
Serving 10.
As Roberts continues his comeback.
There's a shot. It's going to come off the back wall. Andy sets up with his forehand. Takes it back down the wall.
Scores 7.
Ball had too much pace on Tim. Couldn't get back and get it. Staying with that high lob Z. Generating either a ceiling ball return. Good shot. Really has changed the complexion here a little bit. He scored 4 points with that serve. A couple times Tim has shot, a couple times he's gone to the ceiling with a weak ceiling ball for a setup for Andy.
He scored the last 5 points. He was down 3-10.
See what he does with this one. Back up to the ceiling. Another offensive shot. Beautiful.
Yeah. That is 6 points in a row.
Probably a timeout.
And Doyle will call a timeout.
See that ceiling ball came in a little bit short. Andy's got good technique on that backhand. Really tight pinch. Well placed, well executed. Roberts is right back in at 9, serving 10.
Crowd on the hard bleachers using this as an opportunity to stand up for a while. 9 serving 10. Roberts serving. Let's skip to the back wall, and we're even at 10-10. 7 consecutive points now have been scored.
We're back in at 0-0. We're going to play a short game to 5 here.
Yep.
See who wins this first game of the championship. He's going to have to come up and short hop something pretty soon. He's going to sit back and let Andy dictate the action. Shot off the back. Oh, skipped it in.
Side
Just
out.
a little too fine in the corner. Here's a back wall shot. He was going for it. But in this caliber of play, there's such a fine line between hitting a kill, hitting a little too low, having it skip in, and then hitting a fraction too high and having it left up back to the defender in the center court.
Skip that one, and it's 11-10.
Scores 11, serving 10.
That will definitely be appealed because Tim thought that ball got over the short line. It'll be interesting to see what the linesmen say. They both appeal.
All agree.
They all thought it was short.
One appeal used.
Trouble is there, the server sees it from one angle.
Each have 2 appeals.
The server
left.
sees it from this angle, and he thinks the ball got over the line. The linesmen and the refs see it at a different angle, and it appears to be short to them.
You may have heard in the background Otto Dietrich mentioning appeals left. And you can quickly explain that rule regarding appeals.
Oh, Andy hit it again. He had a couple shots on that backhand.
All right, it's 13-10. If they are not
13.
overruled, in other words, if the referee is not overruled, then the players actually lose one of their 3 mandatory appeals. There's the replay.
Andy wants that ball right there. It was on his racket. All he had to do is punch it back in that front left corner. It's 13-0, 13-10 right now. He went for it. He stepped over, used a good crossover step, used his shoulders, and just aimed that thing a little too low into the front wall.
14. Well, it's not yet. Let's see.
I called it good. Serve goes over again as a hinder.
All right. Try it again.
Be first serve.
That ball is traveling so fast that I'm not sure anybody has a good angle at that. That's why you're going to see so many differences. Everybody's seeing it at a slightly different angle.
13-10. Short.
Second serve.
Can't get to it. Side out.
That cross-court pass had so much pace on it, it virtually left Tim standing right in his tracks. It came off the back wall. If you notice his swing, watch his tremendous swing. And the ball came off the back wall, but it went so fast that Tim could not get back around it and take it. There it is again. Tim's going for it, and he would have swung and tried to retrieve it, but there's too much pace on the ball.
10 serving 13. First
It'll be
game.
interesting to see if Andy sticks with the high lob Z, which has got him back into the game. See if he can get a ceiling ball return or maybe a possible left-up shot. Ball came off the glass funny. But that was the first time, if you're watching how Tim was receiving that high lob Z, that's the first time that he actually stepped up and started to short hop it, overhead drive it to create some action. He may not let Andy just sit back, and that time is good serve. Going to the ceiling, shot off the back wall.
Side out.
Flat rollout. Good swing by Roberts. That thing's coming off the back wall, and Tim kind of adapts his swing and gets good velocity and flat rolls it out. He'd sure like to close this with a couple points and get that first game under his belt.
Side out still. Same score. 10 serving 13.
Good pressure shot by Roberts. The ball came off the back wall. He stayed right with it.
Scores 10.
Drove the ball down that left wall for a side out. 10-13. Oh. Well, it's the aggressive overhead drive worked to his favor there because it hit a left wall crack.
13, serving 10.
13 serving 10. First game.
Score is 13.
Which is the thing that you don't want to do, but also you have to stay very low in that low zone area to try to put the ball away. So it's a fine line between hitting a winner and hitting a skip shot. The great serve. Ball slid down the right wall. Andy kind of thought it was coming off the back. It took 2 bounces back in there, and he's at game point. Game number 1.
14, 10.
Ball jumped up. He skipped it in.
And that's it. So the first game goes to Tim Doyle by a score of 15 to 10. The 20-year-old from the Buffalo area, a winner over the #1 seeded Andy Roberts. And we'll be back with game number 2 from the Houston Downtown YMCA in just a moment.
Never got,
well, there's the scoring in the first game. Steve, you've been handed some interesting statistics, I think, showing that there's room for Andy to certainly show a lot of improvement in the second match.
Well, it shows that Tim got 6 aces and Andy got 1. And also it shows that on skips, Andy skipped in 7 balls that resulted in Tim getting points, whereas Tim had only skipped in 2. So actually, when you add this thing up, you got 13 points with his aces and Andy's skips. 13 of his points were on aces or Andy skips, and 3 were on Roberts. Gained 3 points from his aces or Doyle's skips. So there's a discrepancy in there of 10 points.
Over Andy Roberts. Roberts, a defending champion. He's been in this final, what is it, 4 years in a row, I guess?
He's a regular in the finals.
Yeah, 2 years runner-up, last year champion. And now he's trying to defend that championship.
First game and leads the match 1-0.
So he's familiar with this court. Andy Roberts will serve.
Score is 0, serving 0.
Nice shot.
Yeah, it's a point. Roberts, 1-0.
Tim will probably stick with his strategy. Here's Andy, driving the ball up and down that left wall. Downline shots are great shots because they spread your opponent to the side and keep them on the move. Good rally there, but it was halted just because Tim couldn't quite get enough view of Andy's shot coming off the front wall.
1, serving 0.
In addition to the championship, the semifinalists in both the men and women's open divisions all qualified for berths on the U.S. national team. In some cases, that was just a renewal of a position they already had, but not for Tim. Tim Doyle and his sister Cindy both making it for the first time.
It's a good shot right there. Ball does come off the back wall, though. Tim sets up, has nice technique right there. Andy just flat rolls that ball. Good center court re-kill with his backhand. Shows it again.
Was huffing and puffing on the court, trying to get him psyched up. Couldn't handle it. Coming back at his leg, so it's side out.
Anytime that ball comes, let's see what Tim's got a good shot with a good forehand. Anytime the ball goes back into that corner, you're not sure how it's going to react out of that corner, and that time he happened to just not so much misjudge it, but just hit a spot that was kind of unpredictable and jumped out on.
Next major racquetball activity for the U.S. national team will be to participate in the Olympic Festival in Oklahoma City in July of '89.
Well wide.
1-1.
Good backhand. See how he catches that side wall? If you notice, it turns into a splat shot, which dies in the front.
Skipped it off the back wall. It is, make it 3-1. Check that score. It was 2-1. Now it's 3-1. Second serve.
Tim is so strong that he has the ability to just stand and pound for about as long as this game is going to happen. He'll come up and aggressively overhead. There. What they'd like to do with that shot is that they'd like to push their opponent a little further back into that back left corner. That one happened to catch and leave really Tim in the center of the court, and he's going to have a nice center court shot right there that he re-kills in the front.
Scores 4-1.
Well, there'll be an appeal because Tim thought that ball bounced twice in the back left corner, and Andy thinks that he got it, and it did kind of roll along the front wall. Yeah. Good low drive serve lands right in that area, comes off. Andy's shot was upheld, and it is a side out. 1 serving 4.
Side out. 4-1, and again, it was Doyle winning the first game 15-10.
Craig, that ball's being hit so hard.
I'm going to go with the line judges again. A foot fault was the question.
Call stands. Point.
He's appealing a foot fault. It looked like he was right on the line, and you can serve with having your feet on the lines, but you can't go over the lines. And you'll see Tim backed right up against the short line here.
Okay, there's a new ball.
They just knocked the air out of the old one. And that can happen easily. These are very good balls, but as hard as they're hitting them, they finally
He swings
play.
around. Oh, look, I could broke right on that shot right there.
Trying to get the ball broken in just a little bit here. Whapping
I did it a
against
few
the wall.
times just to make sure they feel good with the pace of the ball, so it's not too slow, not too fast. And he's going to have to reach inside right now because he's not really on his range. He's a little bit off his serves. He's generating some good action on. There's a replay right there. Good re-kill in that part. He put everything into it, brought it right back down the left wall.
Gonna have to score.
Probably change his serve a little bit, going to something low and hard.
He's gonna have to start scoring some points. He has to win this game. And he gets the first point. It is 2-5. Remember, he had a 7 straight point rally about this point. Actually, he was down 10-3, and he tied it up at 10, but then lost 15-10.
Here's a nice shot. How he actually got the lead in the first game was kind of coming with that high lob Z serve where he changed the momentum. And Tim changed. It's a good shot off the back wall. Pinches it tight. Left wall, front wall, right there. Ball bounces twice in front of Tim. Now he's going to go back and change to his hard serves, trying to generate some weak returns.
3-5.
That's great, and he has. Tim put a hand up because he couldn't see the ball, but the decision was going to be that the ball was down the line before he could move over to get it. Even if he didn't see the ball as well as he would have liked to, that ball was well placed down the right wall and not reachable.
4-5.
But it did look pretty reachable there. He had his racket on it, but it was a nice shot up and down the right wall.
5-5.
Probably one of the best kill shots that a person could ever hit.
And
Right
Doyle
there.
wants a timeout because of it. Well, now remember last game, they came back and tied it up. Roberts did, and then lost serve.
What is he? He hits back on this one. He sets up deep, goes for it, flat rolls it out.
And it's 5-5. There's
Showed
another
again.
shot of it.
Tim's watching. He's deep court, back 37, 38 feet off the front wall, and still flattens that ball right into the front wall. Good change of strategy by Andy, though, because he went to a low drive serve, hard serves, and he's popped back in and came back from 5-1, back up to 5-5. He's in the service box all ready to go.
There's another reason why taking up racquetball wouldn't hurt.
It's a good workout because there's so little time between points. The ball's so close to you, small confined room. Get a lot of good action within the 60 minutes. You know, as we were watching, Tim was getting a lot of points on ace serves.
Serving 5.
But obviously that can also be reversed by Andy serving hard serves to Tim, and he's finding it's hard. See, all the returns that Tim has hit in the last 5 rallies have been well hit, but it's slightly misdirected, which have turned into an offensive shot. Good power on that shot. He's getting it. He gets it, but he sets up Andy off the back wall. He has to go up in the air to make sure he's not an avoidable hinder. Here's another replay of that, and the ball gets by him down the left wall. Andy's regained the lead 6-5.
That is the first time I think he's led since perhaps very, very early in the first game. As he, of course, fell behind as much as 10-3, came back and tied it, then lost 15-10. And this is the first time since, perhaps on the first point of this one. I'm not even sure if he had one there, but in any event, now he's on top. And he has to win it, remember, because he lost that first game. That hit the window, didn't it? No.
Skip that thing in.
Side out, they counted.
It looks like both of them right now are, that ball skipped in. And he went for it, just hit it a little bit too low. Looks like they're both gonna buckle up here and just go straight at each other with full power.
Side out.
The hardest thing for both these players to do is to get into the rally. I mean, the serve is coming so hard. Once they're in the rally, they feel very comfortable. The hardest thing is getting over to these low drive serves that are hit at such a tremendous pace.
He doesn't get a hinder on that. Of course, his momentum.
He was moving
wasn't
to the right.
Yeah, he wasn't trying to get, he couldn't have gotten back. He couldn't have
See,
changed
back
his
in there,
momentum.
he went way over to the right, thinking it might go down the right wall. Ball was actually hit pretty much down the middle. It's a tough call.
Serving 5.
7-5. There's an ace.
And he's serving very well. His accuracy of getting it to land in that area right behind the short line, a lot of times in front of the dotted line, and then it skids into the corner, kind of freaked out back in that corner and left him with an unreturnable shot. It's a tough shot, too. Really has changed the momentum around here. He's run how many points? 8 points in a row?
Yeah, he's now up line 5, speaking of Roberts.
Well, a lot of pace on that ball. Tim's trying to get back at it, but that thing was hit so hard.
9. Serving 5.
Tim's going to appeal the serve. He thought it was short.
Line, as I said, the serve was good. There's been an appeal. I called it good. Ball stands.
One linesman thought it was. One linesman thought it was good. One linesman thought it was short.
Then we still have 2 appeals remaining.
So the play goes as a point. There Andy sets up, tight pinch in that corner. It's a little bit overspin on that ball to keep that ball down. Great shot.
10-5, but side out. And he's going to take a timeout. Doyle takes a timeout. Cindy Doyle joins the women's team. She's new. Another protest on the call.
Would be an appeal there because Andy thought the ball caught the back wall, so it would be a long. And here's a replay of it, which is going to be kind of hard to see. And it's going to be a play over. One of the linesmen did not see it. Another disagreed with the referee, so it'll be a play over.
The umpire will give a flat palm down if he didn't see it, or the official will. Thumb up or thumb down, regardless of, depending on whether or not he agreed with the original call.
Toughest thing is the return of these low drive serves. The pace is so great that it cuts down your reaction time to just about nothing.
6 serving 10. Side out.
Good serve, just jumps off the wall. Andy stays with it. Keeps it in the low zone, dives in front of Tim. Roberts back in, ready to crank another one. So if he comes with a high lob Z, and we'll see if Tim comes up and overhead drives it.
That he did.
Hold it. Stop.
Got a replay.
Score is 10, serving 6.
With a replay, he comes back in with 2 serves, so he'll be cranking it again. Good return.
Said there's been no football. There was no football. There's been an appeal. So there was no football.
It was asking for a football.
Side out, and that's an appeal.
That's when you go to your full bag of tricks. When you've served a serve that they kill, you go back and appeal that you possibly
Score
football.
is 6, serving 10.
And the linesman upheld the referee's decision and be side out.
But you run out of appeals if you're not judicious, though.
Second
If
serve.
you're creative, you find ways to appeal different shots.
Yeah, Roberts kept Doyle moving.
He jumps up. A lot of times if you get caught in a situation where you're directly in front of your opponent and you're going to block their offensive shot, it's better to go up. Or if you have time to move off to the side.
Serving 6.
There you see him going up right there. He's out of the way, so it's not a hinder. Not an avoidable hinder, point hinder.
There was a powerful overhead.
One of the most amazing shots.
Side out. We are still at 6 serving
Hit.
10.
Overhead drive, flat rollout kill. Probably at about 130 miles an hour.
Score is 6, serving 10.
Here's a tight pinch in the corner.
7-10.
So difficult on the return of these low drive serves to get anything on it with direction that doesn't result in an obvious setup for the server.
8-10.
Boy, they are turning up the heat here. That thing is hit so hard. And he flips it up, but it comes off the back. So winner off the front wall.
Second serve.
Skipped it. Side out.
It's a shot for him right here. He goes for it. He pulls it down from the shoulder. He just angles the ball a little bit too low, and it skips into the front wall.
Serving 8.
And it is now 11-8.
Where they get caught there is that they go over with the crossover step. They try to get their shoulders, and they just don't have enough time to get their racket back and coil their shoulders back into the shot.
Couldn't back up with the momentum, and it's 12-8.
Well, he tried to get back. He tried to duck to make sure he wasn't in the way, and that ball went right over the top of him. There was a good get right there, and he's coming back in, and Andy is going for the shot, and it goes right over his head, kind of back around him. And there's another angle from right there. He goes for the shot, pinches it. Tim gets up, gets it, pops it to the ceiling, goes with an overhead drive right over his head for a winner before the back wall. Some aggressive play right there. Well-executed shot by Andy Roberts. The momentum continues. We got a tiebreaker.
And there's a foot fault.
Andy feels it's just a little out of sequence. He would have liked that foot fault about 4 rallies ago when his
Well, he's been the one
when he
that-
needed it.
Well, he'd been appealing all of them, and then he's the guy with foot faults. Second serve.
He comes up again. Aggressive action. There's a shot for him.
Side out.
Side out.
There's a shot. Andy backs up, hits an offensive shot with his backhand going back, but leaves it up, and Tim re-kills front right corner. Nice pinch. Nice angle.
Side out.
Overhead comes right back into the center court. Andy's really ready for it. Tim's a little bit caught behind him on his right hip. Can't quite see it.
Serving 8.
Ball dies before hits the back wall.
Well, 13-8 now. More wet spots on the court.
Boy, it's a great shot right down the right wall. Pretty close to Tim's racket too, but the pace just didn't allow him to get over to it.
Andy Roberts serving, scores 13, serving 8.
Well, tried to pull it off by going between the legs, couldn't get to it, and we are at game point. Roberts leading at 14-8, serving for the game to even the match. Does it.
Ace.
And he wins it 15-8. Roberts sending it to the tiebreaker. Well, they're going to appeal the last
but
play.
they'll probably be pretty much thumbs up on that.
It is.
It is
Thumbs
a
up all
point
the way.
game.
And here it is.
See the replay of that again. Andy just cracks that thing on the left wall, lands right behind the short line, kicks into the middle of the court, but by the time it got to Tim, it bounced 3 or 4 times. Here it is again. There it shows a crack right there.
We'll have the tiebreaker. 11 points for the championship. Stay with us. It's coming up from Houston. Greg Lucas back along with Steve Strandemo as we are set for the tiebreaker for the U.S. Racquetball Singles Championship for the men. The open division. Roberts, the defending champion. Let's see what he can do against Tim Doyle, that man right there. Tim, as we said before, has clinched a spot on the U.S. team by being making the Final Four. But now he wants the big one, the championship in this tournament.
If we look at the stats from game 2, Roberts had 2 aces and Doyle had none. And the points generated from Doyle's skips were 4 for Roberts and 2 for Doyle. So actually, if you add those up, Andy off ace serves and Doyle skips ended up with 6 points and Doyle ended up with 2 points. So big change from the first time when Andy had given up quite a few points to Tim on his skips. So this should be a slugfest. They're warmed up and they've been warmed up for an hour here. So they're going to play a final 11 points to see who wins the men's open championship.
First one to 11 wins, 2 timeouts per player. Let's play ball. The score is 0, serving 0.
Andy Roberts will serve. Roberts psyching himself up, gets the first point.
1 serving 0.
And it's a side out.
That was a tremendous serve, but a great return. If you notice how Tim steps over with a crossover, nails it down the line. Great shot.
Doyle serving, the score is 0, serving 1.
Considering appealing, and he will appeal, and it is still good. Andy got the appeal from the judge nearest him.
Great serve, landed right over the short line.
1 serving 1.
Died before he could get the ball off the back wall.
1-1.
Ball came back up in the middle of the court. Tim tried to get a shot at it, but couldn't see it enough, so resulted in a hinder. Ball moved into here. He went for the shot. Now Andy leaves it up, and now Tim tries to get it, but he can't quite see it. Puts his hand up, signifying to the ref, and Otto Dietrich gave him the hinder.
Short on the serve.
Second serve.
Two serving 1. Doyle.
Scores 2, serving 1. Point.
3-1.
Good low drive serve back there. He tries to flip it to the ceiling. Ball comes in a little bit short. Tim goes for it. Flat kills it straight in front of Andy.
Scores 3, serving 1. Second serve.
Side out.
Another explosive serve does come off the back wall. It just kind of gets mishit too, but it
Scores
stays
1,
up in the front.
Serving 3.
Side out for Roberts.
On the side out now. Doyle serving.
3, serving 1.
Andy was there too. The ball was up. He just didn't, couldn't quite get his racket on it. Ball was right into here. Tim goes for it off the back wall. He's going to pinch it, and actually the ball's going to come right back to Andy right there, but he just couldn't get his racket up there.
4-1.
Ball was in the general area.
Five-1.
Such a fine line here between having the edge. Goes back and forth. The momentum switches so quickly, depending on the accuracy of the players.
When you get down to this stage in the match. Ooh.
Some really
Every
well-placed
point is
serves.
so
That
important.
ball's at a great angle. It's dying. It goes back into that corner. It kind of freaks out of that corner. Andy's not sure how it's going to come out. Here again is a low drive serve. Just gets over the line. Comes back into that corner. Fools him a little bit. Tim's fired up.
And he is,
He has
Roberts called a timeout.
There it is again. Over the line. Lands in that area. Comes out. He can't get a shot at it. Point. You'd like to have your, you'd like to have your low drive serve land. If you want to keep it from coming off the back wall, behind the short line and in front of the dotted line, in that 5-foot area there. It really can generate some excellent low drive serves.
Seven, 1. Well, we are perhaps on our way to a third separate champ.
Another low drive serve comes off the back wall. He has a center court shot, kind of an open stance right there, nails at the front corner, kind of falling backwards.
7, serving 1.
Well executed.
Side out.
Over jumped at that one.
Now
But he had a good run.
yeah, but now is when
Serving 7.
Roberts has really got to make a move. He's 6 points down in the deciding game here. Now there's one.
He made a similar move in the second game when he was down and came back very aggressively to get a good run. So let's see if he can close the gap here.
He's had some good runs. He even had a good run in the first game, which he lost, but he had a 7-point straight run.
He's going to call that. That was good. And Andy's been to this so much.
Yeah,
he's been down in these championship games and so many of the ARA competitions around the world that it's time to put it together and
Score is 3.
see if he can come back, tie it up, and maybe close it out even.
3-7. .47. Nice effort by Doyle, but to no avail. And wiped the perspiration off the court.
Andy really moved well going to that back wall. Kept his eye on the ball. He shuffled back there. He put a pinch shot into the right wall that died in front of Tim. Tim was going for it. Good movement by Roberts going back. It shows it again going off that back wall. Pinched it using the right wall. Forced Tim up into the front. Even if Tim would have left it up, Andy was ready to come up and close that rally.
Ready to resume play. 4-7.
Okay, let's resume play. Andy Roberts serving. 11-point tiebreaker. Score is 4. Serving 7.
Not only is Andy trying to psych himself out, he's trying to will some of his shots. That was a short serve. One of the things that won last year for him was his, really, I guess you'd call it gambling on second serve. He booms in second serve. Obviously did not do that this time.
Kind of caught Tim off guard right there.
Got the point.
Yep. Ball was pretty much left up right to his backhand, but kind of surprised him and tried to hit it into the back wall to no avail. He's coming up aggressively, coming up and doing his overhead drive. Andy has a great off-balance shot falling back to the right. Puts pressure on Tim. Tim can't return it.
5-7.
Closing that gap pretty quick here.
That was short. You just sort of get the feeling that if he does get it closed, he'll go on to win. So I think it's key that Doyle get the serve back quickly. Which he did.
He has shots too. I mean, if Andy, with that serve, he wanted to generate exactly what Tim gave him. And the ball was on his racket and he just couldn't make the shot.
Now Doyle, if he can pull off 4 straight, can close it out, win it. 7-5. Second serve.
Second serve.
Great anticipation by Robertson. He had his racket up on the ball and just couldn't quite make it.
8-5.
He had his up there. He was there. He just didn't quite have enough pace to get that ball to the front wall. He was ready for it. We'll see it again. Doyle's going for it. He's up there. The ball's up. Slides a backhand in. Just cuts that thing and doesn't make the front wall.
That's a good serve.
And it is.
Oh, there will be an appeal here.
Roberts needs an appeal.
Good. There's been an appeal. I called it good.
They're going to serve it over. He got a thumbs down, and I didn't see it. So there's no point. Replay it.
Again. Score is 8. Serving 5.
That one was perfect.
That's a great shot. It's scary to return and put Doyle in a situation where he can hit the ball so incredibly hard. There's a replay of that ball down the right wall, lands right over the line as a good serve.
Again, he
Died before the back.
used the strategy to ask if there was a foot fault.
There it
was
is
not.
again. Just over the line, lands in that area between the short line and the dotted line, exactly where you want, dies before the back wall.
All right, it is 8-9-5.
Serving 5.
2 points away.
And play a hinder on that if the play hasn't stopped.
And he thought first a wet ball serve.
Wow.
Play ball.
There it is off the back. A little contact right in there. I think the play.
Too quick. He had no chance to move out of the way from you. Right on it.
I think they're going to let the point stand.
Okay, now he has his hand up. He's appealing that the ball hit a wet spot first. That's a very difficult call. When you at 9-5 in the tiebreaker, when both those guys have been skidding the ball into the corner for an hour and a half, to ask the ref to make that call. It's pretty.
They're going to just play the
Pretty
point
tough,
over.
tough request there.
Play the point over. They say that's short. He'll
Getting
get a
down to
second
the fine
serve.
line here.
You can also see how important it is to win. Good serve. It's 10-5, and we are at tiebreaker and match point.
That is such an incredible serve. Seeing that same area again, dies before the back wall. You couldn't go over there and place it in a better position.
Again, the football
This is going
appeal.
down to match point.
Tim Doyle, 1 point away, and he's trying to psych himself up. He can do it on this serve. And does. Tim Doyle wins the 1989 U.S. Open Championship in the amateur racquetball world, the American Amateur Racquetball Association. His sister finishing, giving him a hug there. She finished runner-up in the women's division. And it is Tim Doyle upsetting the #1 seeded Andy Roberts for the championship by scores of 15-10, 8-15, and 11-5 in the tiebreaker. And the action is over for another year at the U.S. National Singles Championships in the Open Division. The men's champ is Tim Doyle over Andy Roberts, and Otto Dietrich is down on the floor getting set for the ceremonies honoring the winner.
At this time, Mr. Luc St. Onge, the Executive Director of the American Amateur Racquetball Association, will present the silver medal to Andy Roberts from Memphis, Tennessee. And now Mr. St. Onge will present the gold medal to Tim Doyle from Buffalo, New York, the new National Men's Open champion, United States singles champion. And now Mr. St. Onge will be presenting both players with the United States team sweatshirt, which is emblematic of the fact that they're now U.S. team members for the next year.
Congratulations. It's a great effort. Seeing as both you and Andy have tremendous velocity and pace on your shots, and you split those games, what was your game plan going into the tiebreaker?
I just wanted to get him out of the box. In the second game, he put a lot of pressure on me with his serve. I was having trouble getting it back. I knew if I could get him out of the box, I could hop right on my serve because I had my adrenaline flowing and hopefully run a lot of points on that, which I did.
It was great strength, and you and Cindy did a great job and just about took home 2 golds right there.
Almost.
Good weekend. Congratulations.
Yeah, well,
let's take it back to Greg.
Thanks a lot, Steve Strandamone. There's sister who almost did it. Cindy Doyle finished runner-up, losing to Michelle Gilman in the championship. Let's quickly recap what has happened today in this 1989 championship from the Houston YMCA, which of course hosts this, has now for the 7th straight year, also involved in many other fine programs for the community, underprivileged activities that they host here, as well as the national tournament. This was the women's situation. Michelle Gilman jumped out to a 15-5 lead, but then Cindy Doyle came back and took the second game 15-3, but it was Gilman in the tiebreaker 11-3 for that championship. Meanwhile, on the men's side, Andy Roberts was defeated 15-10 in the first game. Roberts came back to take the second 15-8, but once again in the tiebreaker, the third set, Doyle a winner 11-5. We want to, of course, thank all the folks that were very much involved in helping us bring you the 1989 championships, and hope to see you again next year. The executive producer of our event has been Jack Stanfield. Producer Joe Gallagher. Directed by Chip Sago. Technical director Margaret Krause. Engineer in charge Ken Nelson. And remote facilities provided by Home Sports Entertainment. Special thanks to the American Amateur Racquetball Association, Van Dublosky, President, Luke St. Onge, Executive Director, Otto Dietrich, Barbara St. Onge, Jim Heiser, and Lisa Martin of the YMCA. This has been a presentation of Home Sports Entertainment.